Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon. It's drive time with Dave. I'm Dave. I'll be your driver. Gotta put on the blockers. Putting on the blockers. Today's drive time spectacular featuring Dave. It's still Motivational Monday. We are motivated to succeed no matter what our friends, our family, our employees, our spouses say. We want to succeed. Today's topic of conversation about succeeding and friends and family, everyone around you. I'm never amazed anymore about the negativity, the resentment, or the hate. And it's not about me. Each and every one of you has felt it somehow, some way. All the way down to when you just told somebody you bought something and you sold it and you made $20. It's like that $20 is $20 more than they've ever had. They act like they're happy for you, and it seems like on the inside they're dying because you're doing something that they can't, or they're not willing to, or they don't understand. They don't want to understand. The jealousy overcomes them because they think that they don't understand, because they think they're going to lose you. That suddenly you're going to go away. You're not going to be their friend anymore. You're not going to be part of their life anymore. When you're making all the money in the whole world, they can't share your enthusiasm. They pretend to. They don't. And I see it. Some days more than others. I talked to a guy that I hadn't talked to in 20 years today. Him and I were friends way back in school. And he went on a different path. He went in the military, went in the Navy. And he was in the Navy for 4 years. And he got out, got his honorable discharge. And he got a job that he worked at for the last 10 years. He apparently hasn't worked in like 10 years because he retired. So he worked at this other job and he retired from there. And so he's telling me about his retirement. He gets $4,000 a month retirement. Apparently $2,000 from the military and $2,000 from this other job. So in the last 30 years, we're going to call it 30 years, I guess. Yep, 30 years. That's his retirement money, and how great it is. Now, him and I are the same age. And he's sat around the house for 10 years. I was like, well, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Just sitting around the house all day with nothing to do, and you get paid for it. And I'm thinking to myself, that is probably the most horrid sounding thing that anybody said to me in a long time. And so my question was, well, you don't want to do anything else? I mean, are you doing anything? Nope. Well, that's wonderful. It's not wonderful. And he was saying it's wonderful, but it didn't sound, the tone in his voice didn't match the sound of the words. It didn't to me. And I was kind of reading between the lines, like, well, I'm waiting for the punchline. Are you going to get to some portion of this that's good? Because it sounds like you just sit around the house for 10 years and you're miserable, but you don't know what to do about it. I'm like, well, why don't you, don't you want to do anything? Don't you want to make any more money? Nope. How can I? There was the trigger word. Well, how can you? You got all the time in the world and you got disposable income. Well, not really. My house isn't paid for, my cars aren't paid for, and and it pretty much takes all that money just to pay the bills. Well, you don't think it'd be reasonable to go get a job? Part-time job? I mean, you can start buying and selling stuff on eBay or Amazon. Oh, I wouldn't even know where to begin to do that. And then he said, well, don't you do something like that? Yes, I do something like that. That is correct. He goes, well, all right. It was good talking to you, and I'll try not to wait 10 years to talk to you again. All right, nice talking to you too. That was at the top of the strangest conversation that I had today. The rest of the conversations I had weren't quite as interesting as that one. So that's when I realized that he keeps a closer eye on me than I do him. I had no idea. I had no idea the guy just sat around for 10 years and didn't do anything. And he's like, yeah, I see on, that you've moved a couple times, and I see your life, and you're doing really well, and gosh, I wish I was doing that. Well, you could have. The only thing holding you back is you. That's it. Motivational Monday. The only thing holding you back is you. You may not have the money to buy the inventory today. You got to keep working at it. And there's no better time to start than today. Such a cliche. Everything that I say is such a cliche. All these things that I've said here. I'm almost ashamed of saying them because it sounds like everything that I've ever read in a book somewhere. Like, am I actually saying anything that I didn't read in a book? I don't think I am. I think I'm. Well, where else do you find it out, right? But it's interesting because I talked about I'm always reading, constantly reading, right? Little tidbits of information, and then that leads me on a path of discovery. I read something and I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. There's got to be more to it. So that's when I go down that path to discover the rest of the information. And most of the time it's so. Nothing like I'm like, wow, that's going to change my life now that I know that. I don't really ever have that feeling. But I do enjoy expanding my horizons. I strive to become greater each day than I am today. It's my goal. Again, we talk about we got to set goals. We have to have courage and set goals, and we have to be persistent and determined. My second conversation today was about determination. I felt that the person that I was having the conversation with probably wasn't as determined to do better than I thought they should. See, I think you can always do better. I think you can work faster and smarter. You can work more efficient. There's always another way. You may not know it, not today, but there is always another way. I think I've probably discussed a few things that people didn't realize. You do realize it, but you don't realize the actual depth or the scope of the things that I'm talking about until I kind of point it out, and then you're like, oh yeah. You had that oh yeah moment. It was an oh yeah moment. Like, I'm having an oh yeah moment right now. I am stopped in traffic in the middle of an intersection. That is a bad place to be. Before I realized it. So, as I said earlier, I should just hook these two videos together instead of, because it was all about the same. My topics today have been the same, and it's been the repetition. I'm just repeating myself. We have to start. We have to want more, and we have to want to be better. When you do not want to be better, you just want more. You see those people. You may even know people like I'm referring to. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. There's nothing. We are all unique in our own way, and some people don't always learn at the same speeds or understand everything that maybe the rest of the people around them should. I'm being very careful in the way that I'm saying it, because it will make sense to you. I think that you and I and everyone should all know the same things. And then we take our own unique perspective on that. And that's how we grow and we make money and we learn to do things. We learn about new products. We learn all these things that we can do. The new employee came to work today. And so before I left this morning, I said, "So, wife?" She says, "Yes, husband." I said, "So, how's the new employee?" She said, "I am very, very, very frustrated." You are? Now, are you frustrated because of your new employee? She's making me play the guessing game. Are you frustrated because of something else that's wrong? She goes, "It's a little of both." Okay, well, I'm listening. She goes, You just want me to explain this to you, so then you'll have some answer that's going to make me mad." Well, why would my answer make you mad? Because I probably already know your answer. Well, if you know the answer, why would you get mad? Because now you're just pointing out the answer. Okay, all right. So now you've got my attention. So, explain the problem. Well, I'm having a very difficult time understanding how to use this software. Okay. Well, is the employee having a hard time? No. Well, I'm not sure why that's a problem. Well, because she understands something that I don't. Well, that's not a problem at all, actually. That's fantastic. So the employee, at some point, when she gets the process down that works for her, she can just show you. She's helping you develop a process. She said, "Well, I got to be honest, husband, that was not the answer I was expecting. I was expecting you to say something like, 'I can't believe you didn't come up with a process before the employee started today. Blah, 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 blah.'" No, that's not the way it really works. See, typically what happens is I know a whole lot about a whole lot, but I don't know everything about everything. So when an employee comes and goes, "Hey, Dave, here's where I'm at on this," I go, "Wow, that's an interesting perspective you have." So then I take whatever that information is and I make a determination. Can I make that better? Can I make it more efficient? Or are they doing it the most efficient way possible? So then my wife says, I'm just so surprised because I hear you say continuously, you build processes. And so I think, gosh, you're going to be so disappointed that I didn't build a process for my new employee. I said, what's funny is I said I do come up with processes. But I never talked about the way I come up with the process. See? I've learned somewhere, some way to do the thing that needs to be done. The key was that I've learned it. Now, what I know about it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone could do it like I understand it. So, you let your employees say, this is the way I can do it. Now, if they can't do it efficiently, that's another problem entirely. So then we look at it and say, can we do this efficiently? This was Dave's lesson on processes. We can't do everything. And the way that we're going to grow our business is through help, hiring employees or hiring family. There's always a way. You may not know it today or tomorrow, but you will learn it. And sometimes learning sooner than later isn't always the best way or the more efficient way to learn it or do it. Sometimes I find that I've learned something later and it's worked out so much better for me because I had a lot of time to experience the wrong way. I'm Dave. This is Drive Time. I am the driver. Right or wrong, we can all do it together. I'll see you soon.